This podcast is brought to you by Andrew. It's a model for a Jeep magazine. It's the next president of NASA. No, it's Little Brother Man. Yes, in honor of his high school graduation, today's episode is sponsored by Andrew, the littlest of the Little, Middle, and Biggle hosts. With enough adventuring spirit to tire out Peter Pan and a spark of humor that can quickly turn into a wildfire, Andrew brings a solid 69% of the youthful energy to our brotherly trio, with Noah providing a healthy 30% dollop, and myself, well, you do the math. Though he's technically last place in the birth order, he's taken the gold in countless other categories. His social life is more robust and well-balanced than an Olympic-level gymnast, and his inquisitive mind is agile enough to spring you into questioning things you'd always taken for granted, from physics to philosophy, English to ethics. Though he's a little brother, he'll make you wonder whether it's not the other way around, helping you balance your kindness with humor, commitments with self-care, and maturity and responsibility with childish fun. Time spent around him is a lesson by example in level-headedness, resilience, and most of all, love for the world and the people in it. He'll gift you with much more grace, patience, and support than he's ever demanded in return. Much more than you've ever deserved, if we're honest. And still, he'll let you call him your little brother, and even admit to it in public. Here's to you, Andrew. From one younger sibling to another, you are truly the best little brother I could imagine, and I hope you'll always let me claim you as mine, and even admit to it in public. I love you, and thank you for everything. I mean it. Welcome to Little, Middle, and Biggle. I'm your middle brother, Joshua.
I'm your little brother, Andrew.
And I'm your biggle brother, Noah.
And we are the ones who will try our best to answer the little, middle, and biggle questions that we have in life. Noah, you have the honor of little question today. Take us away.
Awesome. So I think we've probably talked about this before, but it's a very important question. When one places a roll of toilet paper upon
you
wall,
got to have the drippy part facing the back. Facing the wall.
What?
Wait.
No.
I thought we were all going to be in agreement on this.
Yeah, me too.
What?
Oh, no.
Okay, hang on. Before I even say anything, give me your argument for putting, the paper, so it's rotating against the wall, so that the part that's drooping down is against the wall.
My argument is simple, and it is inarguable. You do it that way because it is correct.
No.
No.
It looks, to me, for some reason, it just looks better.
See, to me it looks so much less correct. It's like you're trying to hide it. And also, it is so much more convenient to just, put a finger on the top of the roll and then rip off a square. If it's in the front than if it's in the back.
When have you ever used one single square of toilet paper?
Every time I wipe, man.
Wow. You are a risk taker.
I didn't know that was not a normal thing.
So according to Google Images, there is no appropriate way. It's like 50-50 turned one way or the other. Actually, it's about 40-40, and then the rest are weird things sticking off the wall that you just stick a piece of toilet paper on.
Nice.
Noah, one thing I did always appreciate about when you lived at the house on Sledge with Amber and Matt was that you had the toilet paper in the upstairs bathroom on a vertical holder.
Oh, yeah.
So it didn't even matter.
And there would be a very clear logic because since the majority of people are right-handed, there would be a very clear way that would make it easiest to rip off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' argument for the away part? Aside from the put a finger on top and rip off one piece.
I think if you have it facing the other direction, if you have it facing to where the droopy part, what is that called? The part that is...
the tail?
The tail, the toilet paper tail. If you
that's way better than the Drippy-Droopy part.
Yeah.
Because there's another Drippy-Droopy part already in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, Andrew.
Nice. If you have the toilet paper tail facing the wall and you pull on it, if it rotates really freely, then when you pull, you have to yank it really hard to get it to tear, and like yank it at just the right angle, because otherwise you'll yank it and it like, you know, spins several times and you pull out a whole bunch of toilet paper all at once, and then you have a problem.
See, for me, that occurs way more frequently if the Drippy-Droopy part, the tail, is facing out towards me.
Really?
Then I feel like it is way easier to accidentally pull off way too much.
Okay, this is where, yes, it is a fine art pulling toilet paper off of a front-tailed toilet paper holder. But this is where the finger comes in, and you roll it until the appropriate number of squares are below the equator. Then you put a finger on top and you tear it at the seam.
I think it is so funny that you put a finger on top so delicately.
Yeah, it's always just one index finger. I don't.
So
think
are you a two-handed toilet paper tearer then?
I mean, I use one to hold the toilet paper, and I use one to rip the square. I don't know how I could make this more clear.
Well, what hand do you hold your phone in?
Both.
I use the force, actually.
Wow.
You know, you could totally just do that with your feet, though. If you're not wearing socks.
Rip the toilet paper?
No, hold your phone with your feet.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was thinking, wow, you must be really flexible. Yeah, I mean, you could text with your big toes while you're pooping.
For the most part, I don't... Like, once I'm done dropping the logs, I just put my phone, like, on the ground. Do you guys not?
I mean, I'll balance it on my foot sometimes because the ground's kind of nasty.
I just put it in my pocket.
But your pants around your ankles, you, like, reach down and you wiggle it into your pocket?
Yeah, that is so much better than risking dropping it in or something.
That's
or
why
having
you
it
slouch
touch
forward and never have it, on top of the hole.
Or you just balance it on your knee.
You should rephrase that.
Yep,
on
that's
top of the
that's
hole.
a mistake.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
Bigger question. Well, I mean, that's not a good word to use in the context of this podcast, but what do you guys do in public bathrooms where there are the weird, like, double holders that have the really giant things and it's just, like, hanging down?
Okay, if you live in a dorm, in a trashy dorm at least, like the ones that we had at Hendrix, where you have those in all the bathrooms, you get good at this. So what you do is you pull down and towards yourself until you get as much as you want, and then with one sharp yank, you rip it up, because there aren't even little pleats, little perforations in this.
Yeah. That is one thing I hate about public restroom toilet paper. So it's a one-handed motion?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's get back to that question. Do you guys seriously use one hand to rip your toilet paper, like at home?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Every time. Didn't even think about two hands being an option.
Yeah, me neither. Like, why would you bother using a second hand?
Because it's a delicate art.
But then you dirty the next piece of toilet paper for the next person.
Yeah, but you never come in contact with anything bad with your left hand if you use that method.
That's fair. But I don't know. For me, it just feels weird to like the hand that's on the correct side, that's on the side of the toilet paper, like that. It's just right there. But to reach across feels
like a waste of resources.
Yeah, it feels clunky.
Yeah.
Or you can, I mean, I haven't thought that much about this, but my muscle memory tells me if the holder is on the left side, you use the finger of your left hand, and if the holder is on the right side, you use the finger of your right hand.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
But, that still doesn't hold up, because then I would still almost definitely take the toilet paper I just ripped off, put it in my right hand, and then, proceed.
Thanks for being really delicate with your phrasing on that.
You're welcome.
After talking about putting your phone on the hole and everything.
Wow, I thought that we would maybe have one podcast without talking about poop.
There have surely been some. Maybe.
Really, Noah? Really? I've edited all of these. I do not think we've gone a single episode without talking about the doo-doo. Now that we've got that out of the way, Andrew, would you like to carry us on with our middle question?
Yes, this is, I mean, I feel like the middle questions are always a little bit of a letdown after little questions, you know? Because little questions, we do get very in-depth.
Hey, that's the story of the middle.
This is something I've been thinking about a lot recently with having incredible amounts of time on my hands. And not just like summer vacation where it's like, okay, you have 3 months of time. But, you know, I have like twice that, or at least did about a month ago. So I've been thinking, how do you guys choose to spend your time? Like, not just what things do you do during the day, but like what in your brain makes you
like what's our process for choosing time?
Yeah, what's your process for choosing something? For me, I mean, schoolwork and stuff takes priority most of the time, but that said, like, there are so many beautiful distractions at home, like watching the birds or playing a video game or even just like reading my school book is way better to me than than working on actual school work. I find it so difficult sometimes to sit down with a pen and actually do my schoolwork. But anyways, back to the topic. If schoolwork was like X'd out, I think I would have like a cycle of about 5 days where I would start with like video games, then I would be like, wow, my life is worthless, and I would go make something with wood, or have a good streak of like long workouts. This is semi-historical, but also very much speculation. So yes, the cycle would go probably video games, building stuff, physical improvement, back to video games.
So would this be an intentional cycle for you, or would it just be something that you slipped into?
It's just something I slipped into. Like, I have sort of drifted into this in the past.
Okay. So what you're asking is more for our advice in how to choose time?
I'm just wondering if you guys have the same sort of cycle, or if
we're a little more intentional about it, like sort of that.
Yeah, and also
or if there's a different cycle,
or if there's a different cycle, or like, yeah, actually, what Josh said about being more intentional. If you get up every day and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, which has even chances of being different from what it was yesterday, or being the same.
Okay. Noah, do you want to go first on this?
Sure. I mean, I guess it depends, like you're saying, if you have school / work / whatever, and if it's just kind of a free day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If it's like school, then I definitely kind of take assessment of what I need to do for the day, and usually like the next few days, I kind of just go, like if I have a whole lot to do, like a lot of work and a lot of school and everything, I'll usually like get up in the morning and like kind of think about, okay, like these are the things I'm going to try and get done today, you know, in these like random semi-free times. These are the extra things I'm going to try and get ahead on or whatever, and then kind of think ahead to the next couple days too. And then that just like repeats every day. So it's like the day that I'm on is kind of in focus, and the couple days ahead are like less and less in focus. And then the next day, like the day that was less in focus is more in focus, and there's a new day that's kind of foggy. Does that make any sense? Does that sound really weird?
So it's like you're holding a lantern in the dark that goes about 5 feet, but you are focused on like what you're stepping on.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. Only with PA school, it's more like I have a lantern in front of me that shines 5 feet, and I'm running and screaming at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, sword in hand, saying,
Yeah.
I will conquer you.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Cool.
Yeah.
For me, well, I mean, I've had a whole gap year, so I have maybe a little bit different perspective on this. So, what I've done is I'm pretty intentional with what I decide to do every day. I don't wake up every day and say, okay, today I'm going to do this. But I have started at the beginning of every month setting a goal for the amount of time that I will spend on average daily doing a certain project. Like, for instance, translating the book that I'm translating, writing just in general, either for my blog or for longer works. And then reading, because I think that's something that is really important for my creative side to get a little bit of input in addition to just spewing out output all the time. And also working on a language like Norwegian or Spanish. So I set that goal, and that fills up a lot of the time of the day because, I mean, I have to get the average. But that does still allow a lot of flexibility in terms of what I do on any specific day. So if I'm really feeling like, okay, today I want to write a whole lot, I'm feeling really motivated to write, I can blast out like 150% of what I need for my daily average. And then the next time that I'm not feeling really like writing, but I am feeling a whole lot like working on languages, I can just do the 50% that I had already done beforehand for the writing and then do more language work. And so there's a little bit of back and forth there. I also, for every month, have a certain number of goals. I would call them like frogs to swallow, because there's this. So, side note, there's this quote by someone, maybe the guy who wrote, oh gosh, what's that like American classic book? Like, no,
that
like,
one, yeah.
No. Oh my god.
American Gods?
No, like classic. Huckleberry Finn.
Ah, yes, of course.
Okay. Actually, if you said American classic book, that is kind of what would come to mind. Okay, fair enough.
Not like, hold up, is Charles Dickens
Oh my gosh, you're not asking this.
American?
We're not going back to Charles Dickens. So,
Okay.
So I have these monthly frogs to swallow because the guy who wrote Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain. Oh, fine.
Mark Twain wrote Moby Dick. Not
Are you kidding me?
what?
Mark Twain did not write Moby Dick.
Who wrote Moby Dick?
We are moving on.
No, tell me.
The Mark Twain said, like, before having breakfast, swallow 3 frogs every morning and you'll have a great life. That's a really horrible paraphrasing of it, but basically it means do hard stuff so that you don't have to do it later. So I have these frogs to swallow, meaning things on my to-do list that I really don't want to do, or that are just kind of a pain to do, or a big time sink. And I'll set those out for me for the month entire. So I'll have okay, I'm sorry to say this, edit littlemiddlebiggle, because that is just a huge time sink that has to kind of be done all at once. And then I'll have other things like apply for medical school, for example. That was on there at one point. Gross. And I'll have things like, send out query to a dozen agents, things like that. So then after I have done these daily average goal things, I then can jump into one of those. Or if I'm having a day where I'm feeling like, oh man, none of these things that I need to boost my averages on really sound appealing, or I don't feel like I would do them well at this point, I can do one of those and still have something pre-set out, productive to do, that is not those predetermined things for my daily averages.
Interesting.
And then, I work out every day, and that's just kind of the habit. So I don't really think about that, but that is a big part of how I spend my time.
Makes me feel very unregimented.
Makes me feel a little bit over-regimented.
Well, I don't know. It's like, Okay, so Noah has a lantern and he's running through the forest, looking at his feet. Can only see 5 feet in front of him. I am like walking through the forest. Every time I see a tree, I take my lantern there and I sit down and I just sit for, a little bit. Then I get up and I move on. You are like, it is daytime. And also, every month, you get to look through binoculars.
Wow. Thanks, that makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah, actually, I agree with Andrew. That sounds like a much better way of organizing your time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. You flatter me. Well, I will take us away with our biggle question, and that is, do you want kids? And why or why not? I feel like this kind of had to be asked at some point. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of semi-talked about it before, but only like in passing with another question, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was the, like, something about the meaning of life, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also,
but yeah,
only
passing.
Yeah. So I would say yes, I definitely do want kids. I don't know if I want natural born kids. That sounds like a horrible... I don't mean like natural born or test tube babies. I mean like kids of my own making.
Homegrown.
Yeah, homegrown.
Organic.
Free-range children. Yeah, I don't know if I want all that or if I would rather adopt, just because there are so many kids out there who need to be adopted. Mm-hmm. And I would feel kind of like I was not doing my part if I did not adopt. And I feel like I know that some people, and I can see why people would feel this way, that they would not be able to be as loving or as fully dedicated to a child if it was not their own flesh and blood. I can understand that perspective just because I think there's something kind of biologically hardwired in us that is like, take care of yourself and your own. And if there wasn't that really concrete link, I could see how some people might not feel that same way. Myself, though, I don't think that would make a whole lot of difference for me. I say this never having had kids nor adopted kids, but I still think...
Really?
Yeah, I know. I don't have some crazy child that you don't know about hiding in the basement that we don't have. But so I would really like to have kids, I think. I think that it would give me a huge amount of perspective, not only on our own parents and how we interact with them, but also how we interact with each other as siblings, getting to see that from an outside perspective, and also just getting to see the world and its people a little bit differently, thinking as I'm watching this child grow up and watching them learn all these lessons, thinking, wow, everyone I've ever known was at one point at this phase. And these lessons that they're learning now, that, like, don't be a jerk to someone. Some people who have been a jerk to me in the past, maybe they just never had that opportunity to learn that lesson in that particular way. And it's no fault of their own, necessarily, or at least not completely their own fault, because they just weren't put in that situation, in that nurturing of a situation, or even just that perfect of a situation, that kind of perfect storm of factors that would allow them to get this lesson. And so maybe I should be a little more forgiving with them, And I think, that's just one example of the way I think that it would broaden my perspective. I would also really enjoy the feeling of just making someone's life as good as it could be, kind of paying it forward because our parents have been so great to us. Whoever wants to go next is welcome to go. I will quit my rambling.
Okay. I also would like the children. Josh was making a bad face, so I'm going to let him end it.
No, I was just about to sneeze. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I've thought about adoption versus organic children quite a lot. As much as a high schooler thinks about kids. But it seems like rescuing a dog versus, buying a fancy schmancy $2,000 dog, Like, there are already children out there who need a place. But then again, it would be awesome to look at something and be like, wow, that is me, except small and mixed with another human.
Oh, wow. That was an interesting way to phrase it.
But that's how it is, man.
Okay, I do see the appeal of, just from a purely relational standpoint, when you find the person who will become your spouse, I can see the appeal of saying, like, yes, let's do this together because this is, like, the closest that we can ever truly be, the most true commitment we can ever make to each other, is creating another human being for whom we will be responsible.
Yeah, but, and this might be the point you were actually about to make, but you could just as easily have that experience with a non-organic child.
Yeah.
With an adopted child. And then your wife doesn't have to, experience the worst pain of her life.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I mean, it is still a pretty stellar commitment just to say, okay, let's adopt this child and be legally responsible for them for the next 18 years. Or, 10 years, 5 years, depending on when you adopt them. But
wait, can you adopt kids as a single person?
I think you can.
But they probably don't, look for that as much, do they?
Who do you mean by they?
They, the adoption agencies.
I really don't know. I'm not
sure. If I'm, single for the rest of my life, I would totally adopt a kid.
Okay, so I've thought about this before a lot. Maybe it's because, I'm older and, people that, even in high school, people that I was friends with were, having kids because it was Tascosa, and Andrew, I'm sure you've had that experience too. But,
I actually have not. That's
really?
Seriously?
I've seen pregnant girls around Tascosa. I've never known someone.
Yeah, I guess there was only one person that I, really knew very well. But, anyways, so I've thought about it a lot. I think I'm going to be the outlier and say probably not, actually. Not because it doesn't sound appealing, because it sounds like fun. And all the reasons that you guys brought up are great and perfectly logical reasons to want to have Anne Babby. But,
Okay, pause. That is legitimately how you say a baby in Norwegian.
Anne Babby?
En Babby.
That's awesome.
Anne Babby.
And then the baby is Babyen. Yep. Okay, move on.
Babyen.
Sounds like a water bottle brand. Anyways, continue.
Yep. So, that was very fascinating. So, I think that sounds really cool, but I look at, how much time I spend doing things, and the amount of time that I've, especially over the past, 4 or 5 years, actually spent with, my really good friends and with you guys, and who are also really good friends, obviously, but, good friends related by blood and good friends not related by blood. And I think if I had a kid, it would go one of two ways. Either I would be a great father to some kid and spend very little time on the things I'm interested in and spend even less time with the other people I care about. Or I would continue spending lots of time on things that I enjoy and care about and with some of the people I care about and not spend nearly enough time with the kid. And so it's kind of almost like a time management thing, that's one of my main reasons for it. On top of that, though, I don't know. It just doesn't thrill me as much. Well, I shouldn't say that. The idea is cool, but it's cool because it's the idea of getting to be a part of someone's development and life and do cool things for them. And I feel like I can do that I feel like I can do that a lot more for a lot more people with less time. than if I create a human being.
Yeah.
And also being crazy Uncle Noah sounds like a really fun thing to do. So I've been secretly hoping that you guys would have kids, because I want that to happen.
Just so you can step into that role that you've been preparing for your whole life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's, I say that semi-jokingly, but that's 100%. Like I'm saying it jokingly, but meaning it entirely.
Great.
That's awesome to hear. That's also great points about the friends. I think, like, especially seeing mom and dad, like, they have friends, but they don't really go spend time with them. Being able to actually spend time with your friends when you're married and have children, I feel like, number one, your significant other would have to be also friends with your friends. And two, I just feel like you really only have room for like one leisure activity if you have kids, in my mind.
Well, okay, so two thoughts that come up from that. One, mom and dad were like super duper hands-on parents. Like,
Yeah.
they're an extreme example. And two, I wonder if they will do more like, socializing and stuff. Like, now that, we're all becoming more independent. Not that, like, they don't spend time talking to and hanging out with us and we won't do that with them, but, like, now that diapers aren't being changed and people aren't being driven to school.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
I could totally see it, but I also think they would have a hard time in their minds being like, okay, let's just step back into these people's lives now, like the lives of their friends.
Yeah, but they shouldn't. I mean, that should be perfectly fine.
I think so too.
Also, I mean, so many of their friends have become their friends through us, not because like we're these great friend wingmen or anything, but because like they were obligated to spend time around us and at our school functions, and so they met other parents who were obligated to spend time with their children at their school functions. So like they will also have a bunch of age mates, they being our parents, will have a bunch of age mates who are also becoming, for lack of a better phrase, empty nesters at the same time, who will also probably be thinking, wow, I would really like to reconnect with some friends. So I think that if they being our parents again, give themselves the grace to say, yeah, I'll just go out on a limb and say, hey, I know that we've kind of fallen out of contact and that a lot of the time we spent together was centered around us and our kids, but would you like to kind of get to know each other just as two people instead of two parents,
Yeah.
Parents, do that when I leave.
Yeah.
Parents everywhere, heed our call.
Well, I mean, our parents do that.
Yeah. Anyway, so Noah, I was going to ask you a follow-up question. So do you think you would ever join Big Brothers Big Sisters?
What? I have absolutely no idea what that is.
That's like an adult, well, okay, I guess if I say adult mentoring program, that sounds like you're mentoring adults. No, it's like adults who mentor children just as kind of like a hobby. Pure pro bono charity. Like,
oh, is that okay? So that's the thing. Like in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, when Rowley has the big brother, quote unquote, that comes and plays with him.
Maybe it's been a long time since I've read Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's okay. So, yeah, you just like you can go to their house and hang out with them a little bit, or you can like meet at a park or something and just hang out, and you just kind of act like their older sibling / friend for an hour or so every couple of days. I think Hart Wilmarth actually may have had one.
I don't remember any ever even hearing about that. Like, even just as an organization. But interesting.
We used to have one right next to Tascosa. Then it got shut down.
Nice.
That sounds awesome. Sounds really like it could be sketchy, though. For the children, they must have insane background checks.
I mean, yeah,
I would
also,
hope.
I'm pretty sure that there are, like, check-ins with the kids and the adults. It's not just like, here, kids, go hang out with this person that filled out our online form. Yeah. But,
Interesting.
yeah, I'll send you a link, Noah, just for you to peruse. Not saying that you need to do it, especially while you're in PA school, but just since you didn't even know about it.
Yeah, it'd be a cool thing to learn about regardless.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I would have a hard time with doing that personally, just because I would feel like I was only kind of glancing the surface of the kid's life and not really,
Yeah.
But I mean,
go ahead. What are you going to say?
I think it's kind of like you're as dedicated to it as you want to be. You're as involved as you want to be. So, like, if you really want to just be super involved in this kid's life and they really need someone to be super involved, then, you can legitimately be like a older sibling to them.
Yeah, that's a cool concept. It would be hard for me to do that if any of, like, the people that I'm close to had children, because I would feel like either, like you're saying, it's just like a glancing, not really paying someone the attention they need, or like I just, already have people that I would want to be having positive impact on, or, a bad influence on, depending on the context, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know. But at the same time, it's kind of cool. I guess there's like, like at Memphis Rocks, there are probably, there are a lot of, kids that like, are from single parent homes with like a parent who works all the time, or, from poor circumstances, and like a lot of people that work there kind of do that kind of thing. So,
yeah.
I've just got to point out, you're swallowing frogs. It doesn't sound like he says anything about killing or chewing the frogs first. So, and honestly, like, hearing how frogs live, stomach doesn't seem that bad. Do you think frogs could live inside humans?
I can pretty much guarantee they would not.
A stomach is...
I know it's very acidic, but like, frogs.
It would be like putting a frog in a bath of semi-diluted battery acid.
But that also contains, enzymes to break down your proteins and stuff too. Pineapple battery acid.
Yeah.
I guess the whole point of the stomach is to, like, exterminate what is inside of it.
Yeah. Also, very, very little oxygen. So...
Just had to throw that out there.
You're just trying to redeem yourself after that Moby Dick flub.
Just slight aside on that too. It's weird that he's like, make sure and eat your frogs in the morning so you don't have to later. Like, at what point during the day is anyone ever like, oh, dang it, I haven't eaten that frog yet?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe not the most apt metaphor, but...
Thanks, Moby Dick. Don't worry, I'm joking.
Okay, this podcast is created by the three of us, written by none of us, and edited and produced by me, Joshua. Hopefully it's also listened to and enjoyed by you, but no pressure, hey? So join us next time as we unravel more of the world's big questions, or maybe just get tangled up in them. We'll see how things go when we get there. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or ideas on how we can make this podcast better, send us a message at littlemiddlebiggle@outlook.com. Also, new announcement, we are on Apple Podcasts. Hooray! So feel free to subscribe and comment and give us only 5-star reviews there. Love, thanks, and T-Rex hugs from all of us. We couldn't have done this without you. Say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.